Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, we are here about to be able to have a phenomenal year. Why I say that is because we're going to learn how to maximize our tax returns. That's right. We're going to turn that tax stress into tax success. That's right. So, if you just heard the phenomenal reason why I have a passion on teaching individuals and educating them about taxes, it's because of the scenario that happened with the young man that came down from the north and said that he was an apostle of the Lord, but he really was an imposter. And because of that, it changed my whole perspective on my life, how to begin to plan and be proactive. Even now, since all the transitions that have happened throughout the years into the 21st century, okay, and seeing the expressions on my clients' faces that once I go through the steps that I'm going to reveal to you today on how important it is to file a proper tax return. Okay. So our time is spent, so we're going to get right on into our presentation. And I want you to be excited. I want everybody to take a deep breath because when you finish understanding why it's so important for you to maximize your tax return. Oh my goodness, you're going to say, where have this lady been all my life? That's right. Top secrets to maximize your tax return. We how to thrive from tax stress to tax success. Now, just to make sure that you're in the right place and it's the right presentation for you to listen to, maybe you have asked yourself some of these questions. Do I have to file my taxes if I'm on Social Security? Whoa. I'm married, but I want to file my tax return separate. Will I be penalized? You'd be amazed how many individuals have that question. But it's a pro and con with that. We're going to go into it as we go through the presentation. How do I know I'm going to get a refund? Well, that's another area that you're going to maximize because once you understand the different parts of that 1040, you're going to see, oh my goodness, nobody never told me this before. You may have even asked yourself, or somebody probably asked you, do you know if I ain't filed my taxes in 5 or 6 years, what's going to happen to me? Well, you're going to learn today some different pros and cons with that. Another phenomenal question that's always asked. I have a side hustle. Can I file this on my tax return? And do I have to pay taxes on the money I make when I file my little side hustle? Oh, this one here, you guys, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I should have been filing my side hustle on my tax return. After you finish listening to what is going to be shown to you today, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, how much money I have left on the table. And I'm telling you all, it's more than just getting a refund. Oh my word. When you really understand the 7 parts on this tax return, your life it's going to change phenomenally, believe me. And Ervin Management Group is here to show you how to let all things be done decently and in order. And when you begin to prioritize that tax return, everything will start falling in place for you. Yes, it will. Now, today's discussion, we just had a little minute introduction. We will have 7 key parts of that 1040 that you're going to learn about today. 7 tips how to leverage your tax return. And 7 cash out opportunities when you file a proper tax return. Oh my goodness, it has so many benefits. Our services, how you can contact me and the team at Ervin Management Group. And feel free to always send questions where we can answer them for you. Now, a little about me before we get into the meat of this whole tax season, because guess what? We're in the tax season right now, so you all are watching this just in time. And throughout the year, you're going to begin to really be proactive with your financial activity and how to properly add that on your tax return. Now, about me, I am the CEO of Ervin Management Group, and I serve entrepreneurs and small businesses how to stay in compliance within the industry by tax preparation, tax planning, bookkeeping, and leadership development. I'm also an author. I'm a small business advocate with the National Small Business Association. We coincide with the SBA to really go and advocate for the small business. Right now, they have a lot of legislations that are taking place behind the scene, and some is good and some is bad. But through Ervin Management Group, I strive to make sure that I am the voice for the small businesses, especially in the marginalized communities, to open up what's really going on and how important it is, not only for us to be in business, but to file a accurate tax return. I love the Lord. Yes, I do. What's in you gonna come out you. I'm also a director of a nonprofit organization, Redeemed by the Blood Ministries, where we campaign for colorectal cancer, which I am a survivor. Also an advocate for domestic violence. And we do a lot of community outreaches through the different seasons throughout the year. I'm a lovely grandmother of 5. I'm a mother of 4, and I love skating and traveling with my family. So I have, because of all of those coupled together, I really can say that my life and the different life issues that hit taxpayers as individuals, I kind of relate to what each person may be going through or have gone through. So this is very important for me, and I'm so glad that you took the time to engage with this presentation, because I know this is a main element that's going to revolutionize your life. Believe me, I have tested it and tried it. I learned about it. I educated myself. I empowered myself. And because of that, I want to empower you. I want to educate you. I don't want you to be stressful. I don't want you to be disheartened when it's time for you to do those tax returns. Okay? I want you to be proactive and be ready to be able to have your documents in your hand. And when it's time for you to go and sit before that tax preparer, they're going to look at you and say, oh, somebody that taught you well. You can easily tell them, oh, I went to one of Dr. D workshops. And yes, she taught us how to leverage that tax return. So let's get into it. First of all, we got to find out why we pay taxes. Oh my goodness. We pay taxes because it is our duty as citizens of the United States of America. It's our duty. We are mandatory. It's a mandatory uh, event in our lives that we have to pay taxes. Okay, you can't get around it. I know they have all of these different teachings about how to evade taxes. You don't have to do this. You can look. I'm here for the taxpayer and the business owner. And as long as we have breath in our body, we have to render unto Caesar what's due to him, and we have to render unto God what's due to him. And you don't have to be like all what we're hearing on the news. They're going back on folks 10 years now, and they're changing laws, you guys, about these taxes. But if you know the tax codes, you can literally leverage that tax return to be a phenomenal financial document that's going to open up all kind of doors for you. Okay? Now, leveraging your tax return, first of all, is what is needed on that tax return. Okay? It's 7 components. Those 7 components on that 1040, if you guys, at the end of this presentation, we're going to have a QRC code. You scan that code, and I'm going to give you a whole list, 7 areas, and it's on the presentation also, that you must make sure that you have it properly placed on that 1040 when you go to file your taxes. It will alleviate the delays. It would like right now, they have individuals that's still waiting for 2019 taxes. Well, we already know what happened because of the pandemic. So it's a delay, you guys. And every year, the tax laws are changing, the tax codes are changing, and we have to change. And that change is going to be a better change. Why? It's because now you're going to learn how to be proactive in filing your tax return. Now, the 7 things that is needed. The first part of that 1040, you need to make sure all your data is accurate. Your name, your middle initial, your social security number, your address, especially if you're a business owner. Make sure that that address is properly documented on that tax return, your city and your state. That's the first part. The second part of that tax return is your dependents. Who are you responsible to take care of? You have to make sure you have their names correct, have their birth date correct, their social security number, and the biggest disparity that happens every year, make sure nobody else have your dependent or whoever you claim it on their tax return, because that's going to cause a delay. Yes. And the next part, number 3, you have to add your income. Now, that 1040 going to produce, if you are self-employed, independent contractor, business owner, and it varies. You have to meet later on to go into more depth into the business side of filing taxes that I help my clients with. But the main thing, if you are self-employed, meaning that you operating with your social security number or your DBA, you're going to have an additional tax return. So that's why I say it's so important you have the right address. But make sure you have all your income, any work that you have produced, that you gave an invoice and you receive payment. If you work on your jobs, make sure you have all your W-2s. Oh, I've seen so much every year. I've been in the tax business for more than 10 plus years. And it's every year people work on 2 or 3 more jobs and they forget a W-2. Why that's so important to have all your documents before you go and file your tax return. Because what has happened, you have 3 jobs, you only file 2 W-2s. Well, that job didn't file that 3rd W-2. So it depends if that income over 1,000 or not, it's going to put you in a whole nother tax bracket. And what happens when that happens? You're going to get that letter from IRS. And then you may not even get it to what, a year or two later. Now they didn't attach a penalty to it. And you're like, oh my goodness, I wasn't aware that there was gonna come on. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing on that tax return that you will have is your tax rate. Now we're going to go into more details about that because our time is short, but that tax rate is going to identify what you put on the first part, that second and third part, meaning your dependents and your income. All right. So those are some very, very key areas that you have to know about your tax status, your tax code. Okay, it's going to trigger it. Once that information is put into the system, it's going to trigger and put you in the right standard deduction that's going to be able to say, okay, you are head of household because you have dependents. Now you at this tax rate. Okay. And so if you go by the year and really see how much money you make, and some of you can do it right quick. I can show you right quick. If you go and pull up your last paycheck stub, and that YTD means year to date. Look at that gross annual income. And as I go through here, you're going to see the different tax rates. Oh my God, that's a whole nother, my gosh, that tax rate has changed. Okay. And so the tax rate will determine how much taxes you will be paying at the end of the year. But fear not, Dr. D gonna show you that, hey, if you have that side gig on that tax return, it will help you. And also, it will also show you through this, you have a tax return life cycle. Now, let me revamp, the kind of skip. When you get that W-2, right? That's not the beginning of your tax return. The beginning of your tax season really starts when you get a job. And that's that W-4. That W-4 of your business owner, you're going to have a W-9. Okay. So between those two pieces of documents, it's so important to know how to fill it out. Then at the end of that year, December 31st, every year, you will receive, well, the company's going to tally up the whole year, and really January of the next tax year, you receive that W-2 or that 1099. And that's how your tax return really begins on that 1040, and it gives you a Schedule C. And that's all compiled of the tax season, which you will have a tax refund. Now, as I said, the W-4 starts when you start your job. What is a W-4? The W-4 is an employee filing status. It documents how many jobs you have. It also will tally the way the digital age is now and how the algorithms are literally computing the data that is put inside of that system or that software. It automatically know your deductions. So that's another thing that back in the day, you used to can have 4 and 5. Like people say, oh, I'm gonna put 5 and have exemptions. And then when they at the end of the year, they can take it off. Okay. That don't work no more, you guys. In the last 3 years, a lot of taxpayers have been having some disparities when they receive not only a refund, but some of them owed because they did not take enough taxes out to cover the annual income for that year. So that's another important element right there. And I know I hear it all the time. Well, the employer should have told me, or they should have helped me. That's not their job. Their job is just to make sure you get your paycheck. Our job as individuals to make sure, okay, this, especially if you're married, you get there at the table, husband and wife, Okay, get at the table and say, okay, I'm making this, you making this. We have to make sure that we file our W-4 properly so we can have a good tax year. Okay, and so with that, now once that end of that year is ended, you will get a document like this, and it's called a W-2. The W-2 is going to calculate all of your income that you produce at the end of the year. Now, I could tell you right now, okay, that because of the tax laws have changed, in this individual right here, if she don't have no dependents, just because her federal income tax is $6,835, you guys, her tax rate, she's at a 22% tax rate already. Ouch. Yes. So that's why it's so important to make sure that that W-2 is filed properly, okay? Because we don't have the exemptions anymore. No, 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 no. It's according to your annual income. And because of the annual income, you guys, okay, I gotta skip the, all right, I'm missing, let me see. Okay, that should have been next. But as you see right here, your annual income, it goes by your tax rates now. All right. And so an individual at one time, if they made underneath $10,000, they had zero right here. But now they're at 10%. Look at this. 12% for an individual that's made up to 44,000. Now remember, we just saw that W-2, right? And would it have 48,000? Guess what? Look up 22%, 44,000 to 95,000. That's a single individual, you guys. Oh my goodness. And newsflash, these tax rates change even through the tax season. Okay. And so it's very important that you, from this day forward, understand that it's your tax rate that literally gives you your tax liability for the year, how much taxes that you have to pay at the end of the year. And okay, so let me take 5 minutes right quick and show you something. If you get your calculators out right now, I'm about to bless you guys. Okay, that individual, we're going to go back. 22%, right? Let's go back here. Now, that individual made 48,000, right? 48,000. Where's my calculator? $48,500 for the whole year. And her tax rate is times 22% equals. Her tax rate, you guys, is $10,000. But guess what? She only has 6,000 here. That means we subtract $6,835. Oh my gosh, she owe IRS $3,835. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna show you what you need to do. Preferably, pray she has some children. But even with that, because she above the earned income status of 48,000, I believe it's 46,000, that alleviate her earned income tax credit. So the next slide that I'm going to show you all, the best thing to leverage your tax return is you have to start a business. You have to have something going on, another stream of income besides just this W-2. Because right now, I know some of you are already saying, oh man, I need to leave this workshop because I already know I owe money. No, don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. I'm going to show you how you're going to do this. All right? But I wanted you all to see that once you do that, those documents, you have your W-4, going to create your W-2, and that W-2 going to create your tax return, and your tax return going to create that 1040, and with your business, it's going to create that profit and loss statement. Now, this is what's going on. They have increased the standard deduction for you all. Okay, so a single married filing individuals, your standard deduction is $13,850. That means that 48,000 we saw on that tax return, if she is single, all right, then we would deduct the 13,000. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back. It was 48,500, right? Minus the 13,850. So now, instead of that 22, now it's still that 22%, but instead of the 22% being on a $48,000, we're gonna take the 22% on a $34,000. So we're gonna times that by 22%, and it brought it down to $7,623. If she's a single individual, minus we saw she had 68 something, right? So that means she still owes $743. Well, hey, we about to use the power of this tax code in a moment. All right. Now, the same thing goes for someone that's married filing jointly. You take that 27,700 and you're going to minus your annual income, whatever that tax bracket is, you're going to minus it. Okay. And then that balance then times the tax rate. Okay. So that's where the disparities come in, and the people grab their chest and they be all, out of breath. They don't file their taxes. You still got to file. If you wait 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, you still have to file, you guys. But I want you to be able to go out here, and just like I was sharing in the other minutes, if you listen to the TED Talk about the celebration, and we plan it for our birthday and we plan our event, now you can take this information and plan for your tax season. And now you'll be able to celebrate, because Dr. D about to show you some things. Same for the head of household. Head of household standard deduction is $20,800, and qualifying widow. Now, this is something that I found a lot of my clients, no one have never explained this part to them. My heart go out to individual spouses, because I've lost one, a spouse that have passed on. Within the last 2 years, if they don't remarry, you can still qualify for the standard deduction as married filing jointly. You're a qualifying widow, but you'll still have ability to claim that 27,000 as your standard deduction, and not as a single person. So that's the leverage on that one, okay? And so if that have happened to anyone that's listening, remember, and your tax preparer should know that, but some may not, okay? So now let's recap. Let's recap what we have learned so far. You must know your annual income. All right, if you know your annual income, that's a heads up. You know your tax rates. We just went through the different tax rates that have increased. Yes, they have increased. But when we go to the next slide, I'm going to show you guys, we're going to maximize this tax return. All right. Identify your tax deductions. Your tax deduction is going to come in once you have put in, remember we was talking about on the 7 parts of that tax return, which I really didn't go through it all. I'll do a recap on that. But the second part is your dependents, right? The third part was your income, right? And those two components will begin to calculate on the next page of that tax return, your tax liabilities, your refundable credit. They have 5 different refundable credits. You have your American Opportunity Credit. Remember, if you're in school or if your child in school that's 24 and under, you can claim that American opportunity credit on your tax return. But this is the pros and cons with that. If that dependent that's still in your household and works, make sure that when they file their tax return and they're in school and they don't make over the standard deduction, you can file them on your tax return and receive that child tax credit. Yes, a lot of parents did not know that, or they may have known it and forgot to instruct their child. Look, when you go file your tax return, make sure you tell the tax preparer that somebody else can claim me as a dependent. A lot of tax delays have occurred because of those two things. So security numbers and their dependent is on another tax return, and really it's their tax return. Okay, so just keep that in mind to alleviate the delays, because things are changing and they have a automatic system now with the algorithms. So I want you guys from this day forward and every year, okay, know that everything is digitalized now. So we want to make sure everything is accurate on that tax return. So yes, it takes 21 days for that tax return to be processed. All right. The beginning of the quarters of the year, it's already open. People are literally filing their tax return now. But if you have any of those American opportunity credits, refundable credit with child care, child tax credit, earned income tax credit, if you have any of those credits on your educational credits, let me see, I think it might be one more. No, I think that's it. You have any of those refundable credits on your tax return, that tax return will not start processing until February 15th, and that's every year. And then you start counting 21 business days. All right. I know a lot of tax professionals saying, thank you, Dr. D, for explaining that. Yes, because most of the time we find that people say, oh, my friend got her tax return just 2 weeks ago. And you know this, individuals, know this, blessed people. Everybody's situation is different. Okay. Everybody has some different activity going on in tax return than your tax return. So we don't compare our financial activity with someone else's activity, okay? And so that's why I'm breaking this down for you all so we can maximize every part of our tax experience so we can go out and be relaxed because we have taken the initiative to learn about our income, to learn about the tax rates, to learn about the deductions, okay? Learn about these awesome benefits while we taking time to be proactive with our tax return. Then you can set yourself up to create funding opportunities and place some money in your bank account. Now, this is beyond just getting a refund. I'm talking about maximizing this tax return with your side hustle. Okay. I'm an entrepreneur, and because I began to get serious about my business, not just learning about the taxes started in 2009, but in 2017, I had a little side hustle. I had a couple of little side hustles. We just trying to make some money to pay these bills, but my whole lifestyle, my whole mindset had to be awakening. And I heard the Father speak in my heart and say, get your business in order. Because I want to bless you with some things. And there's some people I need you to help. But you have to be the leader. You have to be the example. You have to be the forerunner. Whoa. That was like a command for me, you guys. And ever since then, when I did that, urban management became alive. And we have prepared taxes. I've served the community over the 10-year period that I just calculated. A 10-year period. It's longer than that. But I've served the community. Now God has blessed with a team, 179 hours, providing business consultation, tax compliance, and bookkeeping to help the community to understand you can become so successful with your tax return if you understand how it literally works. Okay. Urban Management Group was able to secure over $256,000 for our clients through the Paycheck Protection Program, ethically and legally. Okay. And we have 99.8% of all our clients receive their forgiveness. Isn't that phenomenal? And because of that incident happened to me in 2009, and I had to take charge of my life, and I learned how to do taxes, work with a phenomenal company, over 10 years of experience, started as a little old tax preparer and became the office tax manager at that time and served over 2,350 taxpayers right here in the Houston area. Now we have expanded over three states, and we literally can prepare taxes throughout all the states except California and New York, okay, because they have their own special regulations. And by that, we have consulted and helped our business owners within their industries and training them in compliances to complete their businesses from a side hustle to a fundable, credible, and sustainable business since as of 2022. And lo and behold, what I want to show you that you about to dance, that when you literally maximize your tax return and structure that side hustle into a profitable business, okay, you can now qualify to receive grants. And Urban Management Group have acquired over $91.5 thousand in grants just to sustain our company. Isn't that phenomenal? And you can do the same thing, but it all starts with the tax return. A lot of people don't believe it, but it is happening. And with that, you can, the other opportunities, the cash out opportunities, when you file that tax return properly, you can start a business, you can acquire college education, you can purchase a home, you can even begin investments, you qualify for grants, which is called help money now. They're changing the name. You can also acquire business capital, okay? And qualify for local, state, and federal government contracts. When you properly do that tax return, and it has some other opportunities that are available for you to become a certified business. And oh, man, that's like an open door, you guys. When you get to that level in your business, the solicitation is going to be coming to your email. You just have to follow up and say, okay, do we want to make $1 million next month? Go ahead, let's submit that contract. What about 3 million? What they need? Some toothbrushes. They're gonna pay me $1 million out of these. The government gonna pay me $1 million to supply toothbrushes? Yes, they will. But it all goes back. They're gonna, and when you fill out that form, that's the first thing they're gonna ask you. Probably the third sentence. Are you up to date on your tax obligations? That's the tax return. Yes. Now, it's very important as business owners, before we wrap all this up, a lot of business owners miss out on so much money on that tax return. Just like we had that little scenario, and I asked you guys to go ahead and get the calculator so I can show you all about the tax rates, right? And how that individual, just because she had $6,000 now, probably 5 years ago, oh yeah, she would have got some money. Matter of fact, she probably would have got received more of her money out that box too. That $6,000 we was talking about, right? No, not now. You see how that tax rate had jumped up. But as a business owner, oh, come on now. That's when you want to say party. Oh, yeah. Why? Because now you know, oh, I'm a business owner. I'll properly add all my business activity on that tax return. And that gross revenue, which in the taxpayer call it income, business owners is revenue to us. Okay. And so instead of looking at the idea of you paying taxes on your business income, you have expenses. So you have to deduct the monies that you're making, okay, from that gross. And that's going to give you a net profit or a net loss. Now, everybody take a deep breath. Let's release. Let's take another deep breath. Let's release. Because I really, if you did not take heed to nothing I said today, please take heed to this. IRS already know that if you just start a business, they're giving you 3 years to make a profit. 3 years they are giving you to make a profit. Let me say that again. 3 years. Okay. So instead of allowing other individuals' voices, okay, to steer you away from that God-given gift that he said, whatever you put your hands to, you will prosper. And that's your gift. That's your talent. That's your passion. What is that very thing that you love to do? And I mean, you could do it while you're laying, going to sleep. You love to do it. You'll do it for free. But God said, I want to pay you because that's the gift that I bless you with so you can live an abundant life. Well, if you don't apply it and properly add it on your tax return, who's going to know? If you want to go to the bank and get a loan, that's the first thing they're going to ask you, guys. We're going to need 2 or 3 copies of your prior tax returns. You go to school to fill out FAFSA. We're going to need at least 2 or 3. Come on. Buy a house. You're going to need that tax return. But as a business owner, and we saw that number in that box too, that $6,000, as a business owner, you'll be able to leverage that tax return, withdraw that money out. Oh, come on. And the money, instead of just having a refund, now you have some assets to pull out of that refund and invest it or put it somewhere else in your business so you can build upon it. Oh, come on. I know somebody getting excited because I'm getting excited just by talking about it. All right. And so you need to ask yourself, all right, Dr. D, you're saying all of this here. Okay. So how can I clean up my taxes? How can I have an opportunity to tap into all the areas that you mentioned, especially the grants in the government contracts? Well, number one, you got to gather all your documents. Gather all your documents. If you have not filed your taxes in the last 2 or 3 years, and if you have not received a letter from IRS, well, that's breathing room. But if you have worked on a job, they have taken taxes out of you, and you have money sitting up there that the IRS is collecting interest off of your money. Go get your money. File those taxes, okay? File that tax return, okay? And if you have any other questions or whatever, then you contact a tax professional, one like myself. And then once it's filed, give it at least 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. Now, remember, any taxes that are prior tax return that have to be mailed in, it will take 4 to 6 weeks or maybe more because they still have a backlog, you guys, of tax return. Okay. So what our services are. Ervin Management is a business to business and a business to government company. And I'm going to wrap it right up. We serve by tax preparation, business consultation. We have leadership development classes, and we also do financial data with your information. We are a small business compliance strategist and tax specialist company. We do things decently in order, coming out of our foundational word, and we are here for you. If you need any help or any guidance, I just hope and pray now that you have a whole nother perspective on how to do your taxes this year and every year going forward. If you need to contact us, Go ahead and scan that QR code, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. I'm Dr. D of Urban Management Group, and I enjoy being with you today. God bless.